Okay, here it is. This is the first Q&A feedback from the devs. Now, I think there's a few interesting things here that I kind of want to go over, but for the most part, I don't think there's a need for a sort of game overhaul. We don't like, at the moment the game's pretty balanced. It feels pretty good. I just think there needs to be like one or two things tweaked here and there. But yeah, let's see what the devs are focused on through a summary. Quite a few things that have been floating around the Reddit these past few days have been addressed. Key notices. Number 1, no iframes coming to gun strikes. Okay. All right, already I'm kind of annoyed. But I'm not like actually, you know, it is what it is. Why is this number 1? No iframes coming to gun strikes? I always do gun strikes, and yeah, sometimes you get hit and stuff, but like that's kind of a skill issue. We don't really need that. We really don't need iframes for gun strikes. Gun strikes are good, and they're very rewarding, but yeah, if we had iframes, they would be a little bit too easy to exploit, I think. The damage you get out of them is really, really nice. Including, I think, there's more balance changes, so that's not, I just, is that really, like, number 1, or is this, like, I don't think that was, like, the number 1, worry, you know? I don't think, there was that many people complaining about this. Number 2, additional cosmetic options for hands, eyes, and mask. Okay, that's nice. AI aggressiveness improvements in campaign and PvE, question mark? Now, I agree. The AI aggressiveness in campaign is like, it's like not great. It's not like terrible, but the AI aggressiveness in operations is terrible. I did operations with AI once, and man, they can't hit the side of a barn. You know what I mean? they can't hit a single thing. But in campaign, the AI felt fine, which is weird. So I don't know. Maybe that's more of an individual thing. Oh, number 4. Health pool reduction in higher difficulties, less bullet sponges, potentially also weapon buffs. Yeah, that would be, I guess that would be nice. I mean, if they're gonna buff weapons, I'd rather one or the other. I'm not too sure we need weapon buffs. I think some people don't like bolt rifles, but like they're not really used to take down heavy armored or like, you know, heavy health pool enemies. You really either want to, like, you know, do a combo chain, some sort of grenade for those heavier enemies, you know, maybe even just have a better weapon. But yeah, ultimately, yeah, why not? I like the heavy bolt rifle, so if it gets a buff, I'd be happy with it. For PvP, I just don't think it needs it. PvP balancing to come on shock grenades, bulwark, and heavy class. Yeah. Shock grenades feel a bit overtuned. I just think they do a lot, but ultimately I think shock grenades are actually a pretty good, like that was the balance. Do you know what I mean? If you were a, like, I don't know, somebody, like if I was a tactical and I just turned a corner and I ran into a heavy and I wasn't close enough, you know, to melee him or whatever, you just throw the shock grenade if you have one. Tacticals can do that because they have extra grenades. Yeah, I guess not every class could really rely on using shock grenades to get out of sticky situations. But yeah, in team fights, they are kind of insanely strong. I just don't know what type of nerf you would want for shock grenades. Flashbang? Maybe no flashbang? Just, I guess. I don't know. That seems boring, though. And I kind of like it. I really do like the functionality of shock grenades. But I can understand where they feel a little bit overtuned. But yeah, yeah. What if the heavy just runs into a tactical and throws down a shock grenade and just then he's dead? Okay. Yeah. Maybe just flashbang. No slowdown, or like one or the other. Maybe no damage. I don't know. Definitely some damage. All right. Well, they also talk about balancing the bulwark, and that's kind of another one where I'm like, some of these things really don't need that many tweaks. You know what I mean? The bulwark and heavy class feel like they're in a good spot in a team fight because you should be focusing the heavy. You take the heavy down as quick as possible. Even flank the heavy with sniper. Maybe you can jump on him with the assault. I think if anything, the assault definitely needs either some sort of buff, that like a hammer buff or something. I'm not too sure. But I don't know. I feel like if you just buff assault, you solve a lot of these issues. Bulwark has to like think twice before getting into a melee battle because there could be a hammer. You really want to pick somebody out of the team fight who's out of place, you know? Gives Bulwark a little bit more of a skill ceiling. Heavy, like what? Honestly, I have no idea what to do with Heavy. Some of those weapons are just super like the chain gun he uses. I don't know. It's very strong, but like the class itself is very stationary. Some of these, I don't want to see them over nerf or over buff anything because I think the game's actually in a pretty good spot. Like I would legit just buff Assault like a hair, like just a little bit. You know what I mean? Whatever buff you could apply to Assault in PvE and also apply it to PvP, it's likely going to, you know, it's gonna do a good thing for the game. It's gonna be received well. But yeah, I don't know. But ultimately, I can see where Heavy and Bulwark could get a nerf. I could see that for sure. Really depends to see, you know, once we see what they actually decide to do with those classes, we can, you know, we can guess what they're gonna do next. Either way, yeah, shot grenades, probably, they're a little bit overtuned. Bulwark and Heavies, I think, are a lot easier to deal with if you just buff Assault. You don't really need to nerf either Bulwark or Heavy, but it really depends. It really depends. This game really, really punishes being out of place now, and I think that's really good. I think that's how you keep the combat, you know, you're finding better ways to improve. You keep the combat on a better loop when people who are out of place can actually get punished for it, you know? But yeah, I can see where it's frustrating if you just run into a Heavy or a Bulwark down an alley because, you know, you're just running the point and it's like, oh great, I'm dead. Depends if you have a shot grenade, I guess, but ultimately, yeah, I understand. Planned improvements to Assault in PvE, not defined though. Yeah, okay, so I was just kind of talking about that. Yeah, Assault definitely needs some sort of buff, but I don't like how they just go Assault in PvE. I do believe at least the hammer, or, you know, maybe some sort of Assault cooldown or something for the quick attack. I like the quick boosting with the Assault. I don't know. I think Assault could definitely use some sort of PvP buff as well. Definitely. Improved matchmaking and server connections. Yeah, I mean, I agree. That's it. Let's just, you know... Let's just call it what it is. Matchmaking and connections were not great. It has, like yesterday, it was a little bit better, for sure. But, yeah, I would like to see some matchmaking changes. It would be nice to run two of the same class in PvE, just because when you're at the end of the game and then you see, spoiler, Calgar show up, he shows up with 2 Bulwarks. So it's like, okay, I understand how it's like 3 people, right? That fits. But now you have 2 of the same class on your PvE expedade. I forgot what the word was. Your PvE operation. Excapade? I forget what the word is. It says, oh my god, I'm getting distracted. But yeah, it's like Calgar has 2 Bulwarks, and we can't run 2 Bulwarks in our operations. But I understand where it kind of, you know, contradicts because characters in PvE actually like have names. In PvP as well. Like all the classes, they're actual, like they're an actual character. So yeah, having the same character in one operation, that would be weird. So yeah, improve the matchmaking for that, for sure. Like if I want to play Bulwark in PvE, I shouldn't have to run into other Bulwarks. I get it. And then connections, fine. Anything that's good for connections, good for me. It's just, yeah, it just seems to be there just seems to be like a few minor matchmaking issues that hopefully are just easy to fix. But the connection issues were better for me yesterday, so I don't know. Take it for what it is. Anyone got thoughts on these? Sad about the gun strikes, but also get the viewpoint. Would like if they could be performed faster. Faster gun strikes? I don't know. Maybe, sure. Maybe just give them a damage buff just for fun. I think that they're in a good spot though. Perhaps no camera cutaway as well, since it can be a bit jarring at times. I think I don't know. I like how it's kind of unique, but yeah, sure. Gun strikes could definitely be tweaked here or there, I guess, but I think gun strikes are in a good spot. But okay, let's see what people are saying. Maybe zoom me out a bit with the gun strike. Be cool to see the animation over a horde. Yeah, boom, boom. Maybe just zoom out a little bit. Yep, that's all we need. Okay, good job. Good job. Good job, random Redditor. Way to go. Their reasoning for not having a FOV slider is baffling to me. Like, yes, it could degrade performance. Leave that up to the player. That's how every FOV slider works. Even more baffling is that they're adding ultra-wide support later this month. How's that any different than allowing an FOV slider? Well, I guess it goes both ways then, I guess. I don't know. I don't need either of these things, so that's funny. If it's not any different than an FOV slider, then it's something, I guess. But okay. You are heard. Also, their reasoning for not adding a shoulder swap is that you use a melee weapon with a sidearm. Oh yeah, shoulder swapping from like left to right. Dude, I just think they just aren't prepared for something like that. But either way, you can just zoom out and, you know, corner peek and stuff. Is that you use a melee with a sidearm? I don't know. Honestly, with what we were just talking about with the gun crits or the gun strikes, like they clearly know how to use the camera. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I guess that's fair, but it's not something I'm really like make or break. It'd be nice if we had it, but I wouldn't want it to be an input that's so easily like pressed. Like if you have to aim in twice just to switch your shoulder, it could just make the game feel clunkier. But I don't know. That's interesting. You can shift the camera without having to change the hand the gun is in, and just force the camera back to normal if the player hits the melee button. See, yeah, this is exactly what I'm saying. like, okay. No, okay, let's just... We were already talking about scaling back the gun strike camera, so let's just chill. But okay, it's still an interesting point, you know. Like, what truly is the difference between just zooming out the gun strike or switching the shoulders with the, you know, with what weapon you want to use? Maybe it could just be a setting, you know. You don't have to like make it an input or anything. I don't know. I haven't personally had any issues, but it seems like a weird sticking point. I mean, fair, but okay. You are heard. They don't want Gunstrike because it's actually a useful tool that can be exploited. Okay. Key part is time to kill. If we could get rid of problematic enemies fast enough, then Assault class buff and, let's say, Gunstrike iframes aren't needed in the first place. Okay. I mean, I guess. I guess. I still feel like Assault's definitely the weakest class in PvP, bearing the team is aware of, like, what they're running and stuff, but, yeah, if the enemies are weaker, then do we even need a buff on Assault class? You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't like just overall nerfing the game. I'd rather see some buffs, just because it's a little bit more exciting, a little bit, you know, so it gives people a reason to come back, especially Assault players. And then, yeah, let's say Gunstrike iframe. The Gunstrike iframe thing isn't needed in the first place. The Assault class buff is, and I guess some problematic enemies, I don't know. Some people are just going into the higher difficulties maybe a little bit too early, you know? But at the same time, I can see them definitely nerfing at least 1 or 2 mobs that feel like their health pool is a little bit too big. But it depends. It depends. I'm definitely interested to see exactly where they go with these buffs, because, again, that's going to give us a better, you know, we're going to be able to guess what they do next a little bit easier. But we really don't need anything that drastic. Like, make the hammer on the Assault class do a little bit more damage or something. Like, anything like that will definitely be helpful. But okay.